Welcome to Speak to Shine, the podcast where your voice awakens your true power and your story becomes your greatest strength. I'm your host, Zy'Tavien Abrams, and today we're diving deep into a topic that touches every single one of us, the mask we wear. Have you ever felt like you're living behind a fantasy? Like the world only sees the version of yourself, accepted or covenant? Guess what? You're not alone. We all wear masks. But today we're going to peel back those layers. We're going to confront the truth. Because only when we unveil our true selves, we can hardly truly shine. Let me tell you a little something about my journey of realizing how masks can hide our true light. You see, for years I played a role I thought I was supposed to play. I hid my fears, my doubts, my dreams, because I was afraid of rejection, of failure, of being vulnerable. But one day, I looked into the mirror and asked myself, who am I really? That moment changed everything. I decided to shed the mask, embrace my imperfections, and walk boldly in my truth. That's when I started to shine. And today I want to let you know, you have that same power. You can break free from the mask holding you back. You can stand in your truth and shine brighter than ever. To Shine, I'm your host, Zy'Tavien Abrams, and I have a special guest with me. His name is Coach Wallace. Coach Wallace, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, Zy.
And I really appreciate you. Let's get into it. I have some questions for you that will help, our audience reflect and result and maybe even see themselves into your story. So my first question is that when did you first realize that you were wearing a mask in your life?
I think probably realized I was wearing a mask when there was a couple moments in my first job after college where I wasn't standing up for myself the way I normally would. And I think that was probably the first moment I started realizing that there was probably a mask being, hiding who I was.
Right. And we all start from that point of view a lot of times, including myself. So what motivates you to, start removing that mask?
I think one of the things that motivated me was conversations with my friends about the treatment that I was receiving at the time from my supervisors and those above me. That kind of adversarial relationship started to kind of chip away at the mask that I was wearing because it became got to a point where I really needed to stand up for myself. And I think that moment, those conversations helped kind of me understand that it is time to take off the mask and be more authentic.
Right, exactly, and I'm glad that you shared that too, because we all need that someone in our lives, to motivate us, to inspire us, to want to move our masks. So, can you share a moment where being authentic changed everything for you?
Absolutely. When I was in that first job after college, I was going back to my hometown to teach. I was one of the only openly gay teachers in Southwest Missouri. And when I chose to stand up for myself and my students, I realized that was not the place I needed to be. Not only that, but I was actively being pushed out of my role as a teacher in Southwest Missouri. So when I chose to stand up and live more authentically and take that mask off, that's when I realized that this is not the place for me and I needed to be somewhere else.
Stand up. So you stand up what was for you. Gotcha. Okay. So what are some common masks that people wear today?
I think a lot of masks that people wear are those that just kind of hide their true personalities because they're afraid to be their authentic selves. Even around friends and family, sometimes it's difficult. And so it can be something just as simple as you hiding yourself, or it can be something deeper. It can be some emotional issues or some neurodivergence issues that you might have as well. But I think that the vast majority of people just aren't quite ready to live authentically.
Okay. So, what are the fears that hold people back from revealing their true selves? What is the problem with that? Why they can never unveil their mask? mask? What are the fears?
Well, I think there's sometimes a fear of ridicule. Not feeling truly understood, feeling truly accepted. I think that's definitely something that probably keeps people back. In my own classroom, I have students who come up to me afterwards and say, "I had this question, but I didn't think I should ask it." And it's just that moment where you think, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that," or maybe someone else is going to think I'm stupid for that. We all have those thoughts, right? And I think it's important for us to recognize that you might not be the only one with that question. You may not be the only one with that feeling. There are others around you that are feeling just as inauthentic and just as bad about not being their authentic selves.
Okay. So, and this is a very interesting question. What role does self-love play in shedding a mask?
I think self-love is incredibly important for taking any mask off, but especially you have to understand and embrace yourself before you are able to actively take off that mask and be more authentic with others. The moment you begin to understand and reflect and embrace yourself, that's the moment that you can truly shed that mask with others around you.
Okay. What advice would you give someone struggling to be authentic?
Know that you're not alone. I think that that's one of the most important things. We all struggle with very similar things, regardless of our shared experiences, our lived experiences, our backgrounds. We all have similar concerns and similar things that we think about deep down inside. And so I think that understanding you're not alone really helps with those first steps of shedding your mask and truly accepting yourself and finding self-love.
So, how can someone, start the process, of moving their mask today?
I think starting to look inwards and understand your true identity and understanding what that identity is really important. And then that starts to chip away at the mask and you can become authentic around your friends and family. Find that small social group that you can really trust first. Take your mask off with them, and then it becomes a whole lot easier for that mask to come off with other groups in the future.
Okay. So, and this is some great advice that you're showing, that you're speaking out, and I'm loving this about this. I love it. Straight to the point. So, what benefits have you experienced from living that authentic?
Living my authentic life has led me to do the career that I want to do long term. I'm now a speech and debate coach. This is what I want to do. I teach at the collegiate level. I am not having to worry about what parents are thinking I'm teaching their children or indoctrinating their children. I can truly be myself and work in an environment where I know I belong, where I know I'm accepted, and with a team that I love to work with, and the students that I just have already grown to love here at my time at Newberry.
Awesome. Just amazing responses. So my last question for you is, what message do you want our listeners to take away from today's conversation?
I think one of the most important lessons for you to understand is that, one, you're not alone. And once you realize that, you can kind of begin to see yourself as a different being. And so whatever mask you have on, it becomes a lot easier to chip away at that, to take it off, and to be more authentic once you realize that. Once you realize that there are others who have similar experiences, have similar concerns, then you recognize I'm not the only one that feels this way. And once you recognize that, it becomes a whole lot easier for you to become more comfortable with yourself and more comfortable being out and authentic with others around you.
I remember you saying about like the authentic of your students and what they were doing. Can you explain to me what kind of emotions that your students possibly had with cover their masks?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that particular experience was one that I think will live with me probably for the rest of my life, right? I was coming back to my hometown to teach, right? I was a completely different person coming back to teach than I had been when I left to go to college. But in those moments when I had those interactions with the administration, when I had interactions with my students, it was very raw, very, I don't think I could prepare myself for the emotions that happened during those instances and those controversies that I had. I had administrators coming after me telling me that a small pride flag on my bookshelf was akin to having the Confederate flag in my classroom. I had administrators saying that I was teaching children to be gay, which, first of all, I don't know how that happens.
Right.
But I had students who came to my classroom and would transfer to my class because they knew that my classroom was that safe space that no other student had. And so when it got to the point where I was being pushed out of my job and eventually left the position, I remember my seventh period was my planning period. So we had 7 hours in the day, and the last period was my planning period. And after sixth period ended, the principal came in and said, we've already found a replacement. You can go ahead and pack up your classroom and leave. I had offered to stay for another month while they found someone. I didn't get to say goodbye to my students. I didn't get to say goodbye to my coworkers. And I just remember some of my students seeing me wheel out a cart of all of my classroom supplies, taking it out to my car. And those moments were some of the ones that will stick with me the most. And those students were some that would reach out to me afterwards to try to stay connected as best they could. But it was difficult to be kind of that one person in that school who knew that these students needed someone, and then to be pushed out was even more difficult for them. And I kind of like understood that then a little bit. But when they reached out afterwards and were like, hey, like bullying's becoming worse and everything, that's when it really kind of stuck with me just how important my presence had been for them.
Gotcha. And what emotion did you like felt when people, just treat you like just because you're, of your sexuality, it just thought like you're not welcome here? How did you felt like with that?
I mean, honestly, utter betrayal. I mean, I had known the principal since I was in junior high. We were good friends, and I told them, I said, I'm going to come back and teach her. I'm making you a promise right now. And so when I got to my senior year of college, I made sure to reach out to her and say, hey, I'm interested in this position if it's open. And so we were really good friends. And then for them to turn around and just treat me the way that they did without trying to gather any facts, without trying to like view my lesson plans to see whatever I was teaching, nothing like that. They chose to accept the viewpoints of a parent rather than to trust the person that they had known for over a decade, that they had chosen for this position and they had hired specifically to teach this role.
Wow, exactly. And I appreciate you that you are here with us today. And how do you feel about coming from that point of view to Newberry College? How does that feel?
It's absolutely different. I think when I left Neosho, it got to the point where I was like, maybe K through 12 education is not my thing. And so I started to venture into higher education. And I really dove into speech and debate, like, as this is what I'm going to do at the collegiate level. And so I started coaching for my alma mater, Webster University. I continued to work really hard with my role on the National Council for Pi Kappa Delta. And these were experiences that helped shape me into who I am now. And when I met Dr. Harpole at Nationals this year and he asked me to come join the team at Newberry to help coach, I was all on board. I was like, this is exactly what I have been preparing myself for after this experience.
Okay, and thank you very much, Coach John, for your opportunity with me today. It's been an awesome pleasure with you being my guest today. Really awesome. And thank you for sharing awesome advice to me and to our audience as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
What an amazing conversation. Remember, the masks we wear may protect us temporarily, but they can also hide our true power. Today is the day to start peeling them away. I challenge you to look in the mirror, acknowledge your fears, your doubts, your hopes, embrace your imperfections, and step into your audacity. Because when you do, you shine brighter than you ever thought be possible. Before we close, I want to leave you with this. Your true self is waiting to be seen. Don't hide behind the mask any longer. Thank you for tuning to Speak to Shine. If this episode resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe, leave a review. Remember, you are powerful, you are worthy, and your shine is inevitable. Thank you.